Okay, I will do this presentation in English because I want to. It's a good challenge for me. So today I was traveling in the train. There was a no connection, so I prepared whole presentation as expected. So hello, my name is Rigi, and this is my implementation of Ruby sentiments. I'm a web developer. This is my avatar on Twitter. I am doing web development in dynamic languages only. No Ruby, though. Sorry. But I'm full stack web developer, but really currently at the time focused on front end using Angular. Jano spotted on GitHub that I forked the repository, so I have to do that. You know, this is how I work. If some person is pushing me, I do the work. So this is a really good thing for me. I do this project kind of different and kind of new for me. So what's the difference? It's not in Ruby, obviously, because I don't program in Ruby. I'm a front-end developer. I program in JavaScript. So it's not in Ruby, and it's an SPA, single-page application. What it means? What you get from the server in my implementation is this HTML document, where there is only one empty div and tons of JavaScript. There is also, it is visible that vendors' JavaScripts are written statically, and my own programming code is written by this funny declaration, and it's handled by Grunt. What's new for me in this project? It's my first bigger project in Node.js for me. I only used it before as a fake API, but in this case I use it as a real scenario project in Node.js. I use Express.js in a fancy new version 4.0. Everything is changed. They strip out lots of dependencies and middlewares. I used to use Express 3.5, and I go to the project and I got lots of errors there. No middleware is present. Your logger, your body parser is not there. So I have to adjust to that. And I also use this new library for me, Bushov.js. It's an ORM for Node.js. It was recommended for me from my friend in last job. So this thing I was exploring in this project. Okay, this is how Ruby sentiments specification 1 looks like in my implementation. It's a list of events. You can see when the event is happening, and you can subscribe to the event. Yeah, these 3 points should be implemented in this specification. Take a note, take attendance to the point 3, that when you return, you should see the events you are attending again. So this implies 2 points. The first one, there needs to be some kind of persistence. I used PostgreSQL database. And the second, the server have to somehow identify returning client. So how do I implement it in single-page application? Because in single-page application you shouldn't have to use cookies or session, because your API should be RESTful and stateless, so no cookies, no session. This is done in general by special header that you are sending to the API with every request. And this special header is containing some kind of identification, some kind of ID that user is identifying to the API. So this is that special header. I am doing requests to the events, and there is a convention that this special header should be X dash and something, some kind of your custom name. So I do Ruby sentiments, user UUID, and some gibberish value, total random string. How this thing is configured on single page application in my Angular code, this is how it's done. When you start, when your visitor load your page, the run method gets invoked, and to that run method you pass an callback, and that callback gets passed 3 different parameters. It's up to you which parameters. The Angular dependency injector will inject that dependencies for you. And what is happening here? Only two rows of code, and the authentication for me is done in that. So I am accessing local storage over the browser. Local storage is available from IE8. It is the same thing as Angular.js is supporting from IE8. And I am doing assign to the local storage to some special property, user UUID, some random value, but assigned only if it's not assigned. That is the question mark, the operator. Ruby has it, but if you are coming from languages like PHP, JavaScript, you cannot know it. But this is into what it gets translated in JavaScript. If local storage user UUID is nothing, do the thing, assign the random. So this is the first row. What it's doing, assign this random string to the local storage, that special property, and then I'm configuring my HTTP engine to set up this special header for me with that special gibberish random value from local storage. What it does for me, if a new visitor comes to the page, he gets new UUID, and it is using it for every request to the API until he or she clears the local storage. But on the first request, regenerate new UUID, and it is using it for eternity until he clears it. Okay, let's get to the server code. This is how my API endpoints are defined. I only use 2 endpoints, get events and post event toggle attend. This is a thing I overcome my specification because I also implemented the desubscribe functionality in my implementation. So this is how routes are defined. When this request comes, invoke this method on the controller, index and toggle attend on that controller. And this is a special thing we will see in a few slides, how controller is separated from general code in Node.js. But before that, let's look how the database is set up. This is really basic stuff. We have table of users, table of events, and that the user is attending the event. The contract is set up by joining table, and relation by the record in the table events users. So if the record is in that table, user is attending that event. And user can have many events attending, and event has many users attending. So this is really the simplest implementation. Maybe the name of the table should be attendees or something like that, but I follow the conventions of my ORM library. Okay, this is how you start an web server in Express.js. You require tons of libraries, and then you configure your web server with that. You set up the logger with a string that you want to be logged to the console. You set up a static server to serve from the public folder. In case of environment that is equals to development, you set up error handler, and also you set up a view engine, in my case Jade, that is used only for the last section when you are rendering 404 page. My main page that we saw at the beginning, that HTML static page, is served from the public folder. It's not served by the Jade templating engine, it's served from my public folder. But if some other root gets invoked to the server that is unknown, when serve 404, when no middleware responded, and that is handled by my Jade rendering. Awesome, but it's a general thing for me. I'm really big propagator of statistics, so that's the end. I also have thank you. I also have a live presentation if you want to see how my application is working. So, for the record to the camera, this is when a new visitor visits the page. As you can see, no events he is attending. So I click some events to attend. And the third point of the specification, this thing should be persisted between the requests, so I do the refresh. And you can see these two events are persisted. And the toggling functionality works as well. So application is working like that. You know, this is the thing. Okay, thank you. Want to see a view, so we have to jump into GitHub. Can you do that? Vidíš hore, Míšo? Tady view. Exit presentation. Otvor GitHub. Taky ikonka. Okay, so guys want to see views. So go into the Express, public, and this is a single page application, so everything is done in public folder. Events, yes, we are splitting the project by feature, and you know, views, there is nothing, not so interesting things there. I am using directives for everything. Can you zoom it by Command plus? Yeah. So I obtain events in this variable, and I'm doing ng repeat. And this event box is a special tag in HTML. So Angular, and you can teach Angular new things by creating a directive. So if we go back to the directives folder, there is this event box. We can see the coffee. This is configured that we are teaching HTML for new element. Can you go higher? So we are responding to that new tag. It can be a event box tag and also event box attribute on HTML. So this is how this first thing is telling. The second is the template, what should be rendered when this tag is present in HTML. Render this thing, and there is in this link function is the logic. We can see the template of this directive, and this is it. Just some kind of Jade HTML thing. There is also another directive, date indicator. It's that little calendar we saw, but we are just putting all the information from that JSON we saw earlier to that template we are seeing now. There is also that functionality of expanding long description. It is created by these two lines and with the code that is present in the directive code. I can show you how this expanding works. So when there is not enough, there is enough text, there is this thing displayed, and when I click it, the description gets expanded and the thing disappeared. This is how it's done. Now we can argue if the single-page application is better than MVC application. Okay, thank you.